Hello, I'm Danielle, Hello's royal correspondent, and I'm here with our fashion and beauty editor, Laura, and we're here to talk about the Princess of Wales's best looks from this year and her best looks of all time. So Laura has chosen 5 of her favourite Catherine looks from this year so far, plus her top 5 fashion moments from the past 14 years. I don't know how you've managed to whittle it down.
It was hard. It was very hard.
But let's dive in. Let's start with her most recent look, which was her appearance at Wimbledon. So she's always very animated on centre court, but she wore this lovely deep blue Roxana dress.
Yeah.
Why do you think she's opting for more bespoke pieces now?
With Kate, I feel like as she's getting slightly older, it's almost like she's had a real fashion revolution. So I feel like she doesn't always go for things that are off the peg. Obviously, she has access to the world's most incredible designers. And I think that a moment like Wimbledon is such a special moment for her. And she obviously wanted to wear something that would kind of give some impact, but was still very mindful of her situation. And I feel like a dress like Roxana, especially made for her, is a great opportunity to wear something like that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought it was stunning. It was such a beautiful dress. And I feel like the colour, obviously, totally regal. And also as well, I feel like it had just the right amount of detail on it. So you had the beautiful kind of delicate corsage on the shoulder, but nothing too much, because I think she always tries to keep it, you know, classic and timeless, but with a slight modern edge. So I thought that that was like the epitome of that in that dress.
She always wears like a block colour for Wimbledon, doesn't she?
She does, absolutely. And I think she'd worn Roxana at Wimbledon before with a bright yellow tone. Yeah, so she probably tried to repeat that kind of look.
It's like a consistency. If you look back over the gallery of Catherine from Wimbledon through the years, it's like, you know, block. The hemlines are a little bit longer now.
We know that Catherine obviously has, you know, incredible legs, of course, but she is very kind of mindful for those unofficial royal rules, and she kind of does favour the midi dress. So
yes, and let's keep like there is this kind of unwritten rule in the royal box not to wear hats, but I think there is an exception, isn't there? When we were experiencing a really hot heat wave that weekend.
Can't blame her, really.
No, exactly. And I think they give out hats, don't they, to all the guests in the royal box.
They do.
So
I think with the LK Bennett hat that she wore, the circumference, although it looks pretty large, I think from the back it wouldn't obstruct the view. I think it just looked big, if that makes sense.
And so chic and quite affordable, actually, as well.
Yeah, definitely. And she's worn it before, so it's obviously very sustainable. She like keeps re-wearing things, so I thought that was a good choice.
Cost per wear, very good. Now, another major moment this year, Catherine's first state banquet and tiara moment in 2 years. Obviously, we missed out seeing her last year at the state banquet, and it was such a showstopper, and her first piece designed by Sarah Burton in her new role at Givenchy. What did you love about this look?
I think for me, I just love it when Kate wears red. I think it's such a magnificent colour on her. And I think everybody else who was at the banquet was wearing white. So she really did stand out. But I also like the fact that it was a floor length number. The sleeves were pretty long as well. And I feel like it just went really well with the classic heirloomness of the tiara. And I think it's really interesting that she is continuing her support for Sarah Burton. Yeah. As we all know, Sarah Burton designed Catherine's wedding gown. So she's obviously pledged allegiance to her through fashion and is kind of following her career and supporting her. So I thought that was quite a pivotal moment for her, because she obviously wore it all those years ago and she's re-wearing her as a designer now. And I just thought it created a massive impact. I just thought it looked so beautiful and just such an eye-catching yet classic piece that she could easily wear in her 60s as well.
Exactly. And also with the cape, I think it's like very signature of Givenchy, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And it's I feel like it must be really hard as a designer for from Sarah Burton's point of view to kind of not make something look like it's from Alexander McQueen.
Yes, absolutely. So having an item like that, it's kind of nodding to a bit of avant-garde, but it's still keeping in with the timeless element.
From that same state visit, this was quite a fashion moment. I think some of us actually squealed in the office when we saw Catherine step out in this Dior jacket and this tall skirt to meet the French president at the airport. So what's the significance behind this look?
As we know, it was the first time she had worn Dior in her royal career. And I think that it was just, for me, it was a very Carrie Bradshaw moment because, of course, she had on like tulle skirt, which she made, obviously that's a very feminine kind of, that kind of skirt is very feminine and has a kind of sort of enchanting feel to it. But by adding a tailored jacket like that, it just kind of made the look just look so ultra modern. And I really do think it's something that SJP would wear. So for me, I just thought it was quite contemporary for her. And I think in keeping with the blush kind of colorway, it was still relatively traditional, but not. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I love the way that her hair was kind of in this kind of corkscrews, ringlet style. And I just felt that the whole look was just very, I don't know, just ultra feminine, I think.
And obviously everyone's going to be talking about it because it was her first sort of appearance since Missing Royal Ascot.
That's right.
But I think it was like the muted colour. She stood out because everyone was like, wow, that's Dior. That's the first time she's worn Dior. But Absolutely. It was still not to detract from the event that was happening.
Yes, it's very respectful. And I think there's obviously a lot of planning and curating that goes into her outfits, probably for that specific reason. As you say, it's a very wow moment for her, but it's not in a bold, zany colour that would make everyone look at her. She's still relatively understated, but in her own way, she's still nodding to her fashion credentials and respecting the moment, which was quite a big moment in the royal calendar.
Yeah, and I feel like it's something she's kind of followed, hasn't she, throughout her whole time in the royal family.
Absolutely.
There's been these huge fashion moments, but she's not trying to take the attention away.
No, she never does that with her wardrobe, does she? It's always, very mindful of her position, but still looking incredibly chic.
It was quite a moment, wasn't
Beautiful.
It? It was.
I loved that.
I hope to see more, and also really like the looks that she's been wearing from self-portrait. This is kind of consistency.
Yeah, that's right.
With the jacket and the skirt, which I feel like has become like her sort of like 2025. Like, do you remember when she used to wear those midi dresses, those A-line colour block midi dresses? Yeah. I feel like that's become like her new kind of signature style.
She loves a blazer now, doesn't she? She always used to wear blazers, but I feel like now she's really incorporating blazers into her occasion wear looks as well, which is so modern. And it's something we can all do at home. I know for me, when I saw her wear that outfit, I thought, wow, like that's a really cool way to style a skirt, especially like a skirt like that. I thought, wow, I could do that actually. So I think she's a great kind of, she's great inspiration if you're not quite sure, what to wear for a certain event. I think just having a look at, some of Kate's outfits like that is a great way to start.
And there's definitely been an evolution, hasn't there? Especially not just because of, the journey that she's been on, the health journey she's been on the last year or so, but just I think she's clearly in a new era of her life. She's experimenting, and she's like all of us, you go through different stages of your life, and you adapt your wardrobe, don't you?
So Catherine is obviously 43 now, and like all of us, our style, as you say, changes throughout our lives, depending on our age. And I think that she is showing that just because you're 40s doesn't mean that you need to lie down and not wear anything exciting. She's upping her ante with her fashion, which I think is amazing.
We're going back a couple of months. We always love seeing what Catherine is wearing to Troop in the Colour. Both you and I were working that day.
We were. Busy day.
It was a busy day on the beat. But what made this outfit so different to her previous looks she's worn for this event?
I think with this one, I'm sure you were the same. I obviously, as you said, we were working that day, and I remember thinking, wow, I really hope she wears something really iconic today, because it's such a important moment in the royal calendar. Obviously, Trooping the Colour is televised. Everyone wants to kind of see what's going on with the action. It was such a hot day as well. So I was really anticipating what she was wearing. And I think when she stepped out in the Catherine Walker coat dress, I was like, oh, wow, I'm so pleased she's worn that, because I think turquoise is a colour that Catherine doesn't wear all the time. So it's definitely like a springtime shade, spring-summer shade. And I feel like it really lifted her complexion. And you could just see her everywhere, couldn't you? Like you could see her obviously wearing a colour like that when there's a sea of people. She's so, instantly recognisable when she wears something like that.
Especially amongst all the reds.
Absolutely. So I think by wearing a colour that's not necessarily regal is probably quite a good thing in those circumstances. And I just thought the contrasting white lapels with like the angular hat, I just thought it was just such a beautiful look. And obviously it was lovely that she wore a Catherine Walker gown, because that was what her late mother-in-law, Princess Diana, used to wear constantly. Diana was actually buried in a Catherine Walker gown. So I feel like, the fact that she also embraces that label is a really subtle nod to her, and a nice way to kind of remember her.
Yeah, and to have her there on the day.
Exactly.
And I think it's such a departure, because I feel like we've seen Catherine wear kind of more pastel muted colours, but the last few years at Trooping the Colour, it's been, I think the first year that we, in her role was, Trooping the Colour, there was that sort of Andrew GN, that really like emerald green, like coat dress.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was a bit more muted because it was her first appearance
in the white
and navy. But this year, do you think it kind of, sort of symbolises like, a new stage of her life? Yeah,
I think you're right. I think it sounds silly, but it's a very positive colour.
Yeah.
It's a really bold, punchy shade, and it's almost like, I'm back, I'm here, I'm okay.
Yeah.
This is my outfit. And I just think it was quite daring for her as well. Because it's almost like, as you say, she's embracing this new part of her life. She's, she's overcome her illness, and I just thought it was, and I think everyone loved to see her looking so glowing. And I think a colour like that really does lift your complexion and makes you look really fresh. Obviously, she's beautiful anyway, but I feel like it really elevated her look, which was lovely for us all to see, and probably a really positive moment for her as well.
Yeah, it's just like all those pictures of her with with the kids in the carriages and on the balcony. It is like one of our favourite.
We love it.
We do.
It's a great
I'm excited to see next year.
Yeah.
So for your final look,
yes,
your favourite look of this year so far.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's fair to say that Catherine's trouser suits have divided opinion.
Yes.
But this olive two-piece blew us all away. Why is it one of your favourite items from this year?
I was so excited to see her wear olive green, because I feel like olive green is obviously a slightly muted tone, but it's it's one of those colours that I think is a kind of Marmite type of colour.
Yeah.
Some people are like, ugh, I don't like that colour. And other people are like, oh no, I think it's quite cool. So I feel like her kind of opting for that colour, it's like not a neutral, but it's not something that's super bright and colourful. It's slap bang in the middle. And I think the event that she was at was a fashion event where she was giving an award. So it's almost like, for me personally, I felt like she didn't want to wear something too bold and striking, because it might take attention away from the reason she was there. Also as well, I thought that the fact that she chose a Victoria Beckham suit was great, because it's an off the peg item. You can actually buy that now. And I think, as we've said before, a lot of her pieces this year have been bespoke and obviously created just for her, with her in mind, was this is something that the regular customer could purchase if they wanted to. And I felt like the way that she kind of styled it with the beautiful blouse underneath was just a really timeless look that would suit anybody, because a trouser suit is a tailored item, which, the fabric of it is exquisite. The cut of it is really good. And it's like a lesson in tailoring. And I just thought that she just looked so elegant in that. So I thought,
it's fun business wear, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know a few of the girls in our office have worn like trouser suits, and like quite, you don't have to, we don't work in a corporate office, but fun colours, summery colours, it doesn't have to be sort of muted tones, and it's just
absolutely. And I think fashion essentially is fun. It's great to create outfits, it's great to put them together, and I almost feel like with some of Catherine's outfits, you can obviously tell that she's had a great input with that, and she probably really enjoyed wearing that, because it's such and I think as well, like, suits are very, can be seen as, quite masculine, but she made it so feminine with the delicate accessories, with the great blouse, with the flowing hair, which we've seen a lot this year, and the high heels. And I just thought, suit.
Victoria Beckham knows how to dress.
She creates great suits. Yeah, absolutely. So love.
So why do you think Catherine has been wearing more pantsuits in recent years? And I know that everyone's quite divided over it. There was, I think was it 2022. or 2023, there was a lot of pantsuits.
Yes.
But not always in, there was that amazing Barbie pink one that she wore.
With the pantsuit, I suppose really from a fashion perspective, it kind of commands attention. If you're wearing a suit, you look like you mean business, whether you mean to or not, because it's just the tailoring, the way that it fits, as you say, it can feel quite corporate. So, a lot of these events, royal events that she goes to, she's quite active, she's visiting people, she might be taking part in an activity. So I suppose it's a way of, making sure that you still look smart and well equipped, but you kind of have that fashion edge as well. So there's probably some practicality with it as well. But I just think it's probably quite an easy throw on look for her as well.
Absolutely.
Like, ultimately, she is a busy mother. So, she's got a lot going on in the mornings ahead of these things. So she probably just thinks, right, okay, I need something sleek, something that's going to look good. I can pop on quickly. I don't have to mess about and do, I don't have to add this, I don't have to add that. So yeah, I do think that a lot of it is a practical sense, but I also do think that it's instantly smart. It's respecting the events that she goes to. She looks like she's made a really good effort, but it's not too overpowering where she knows everyone's going to just be talking about what she's wearing. They're going to be talking about the event as well. So yeah.
It's and also it's again going back to that evolution, isn't it? You're not wearing the same things that you wore in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s. And there's sometimes it's just like, actually, like you just suddenly notice a shift in your wardrobe. You're like, well, my dresses are longer now than they perhaps were when they're in the 20s. But that's kind of like a natural evolution in your wardrobe, isn't it?
Absolutely. And obviously, as we saw her, as you were saying, like when she was a little bit younger, her hemline was a little bit higher and she was probably a bit more daring. As she's got older, she's probably still equally as confident as she was, but she probably just thinks, okay, I'm a little bit older. I'm just going to, just subtly divert and make my choices a little bit more grown up. So I feel like the suit is definitely a grown up item, but she still makes it look fabulous.
And also it's easy, like you said. I think I remember reading once that, former US President Barack Obama wore basically the same suit every day because he was making all of these decisions.
Yeah.
And that was like, just to take another decision out of his hands, he'd just go for the same suit all the time.
Absolutely. So there probably is an element of that as well. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to wear a suit. It's going to be this colour. I'm going to rock it.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to your top 5 favourite looks of all time. How on earth did you...
It was really hard. I obviously write about Catherine every day and what she wears. So it was really difficult to condense these together.
So,
not going to lie.
So the first look is the James Bond Jenny Packham gold dress she wore for the premiere in 2021. So I absolutely have to agree with you choosing this as one of your top 5. It's it's featured in our Royal Women magazine here as well as one of her all-time favourite looks. Why have you chosen it?
I just thought she looked like a Bond girl. I remember I was working that evening. I think you might have been as well.
Yes.
And I just remember thinking, right, okay, this is the last Bond with Daniel Craig in it. Bond is a British, I don't know, like an institution really. It's such a big thing. And I thought, wow, I think she's gonna wear something pretty show-stopping, but you never know, obviously. And when she stepped onto the red carpet, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Because I think, I would never say she's a safe dresser or anything like that. But as we've said before, it's very tailored, it's very classic, it's very timeless. Whereas I would say this dress, I wouldn't call this a timeless dress. This is a beautiful party dress. And there's so many kind of trend-led elements in it. And she's not really a trend-led dresser. You wouldn't see Kate wearing a Labubu on her handbag, would you? She's not that kind of
That's
kind of dresser.
That's a conversation for another time.
That's another conversation. But I think like this dress had shoulder pads. It had obviously very respectable, but it had a deep V neckline. It was covered in sequins. I don't think we've seen her wearing sequins that much in her royal career. And also it had a cape. Now, at the time, capes were not a thing. So I think the fact that she, had this beautiful dress that included a cape, I think it inspired occasion wear everywhere after that, because everywhere I looked afterwards, dresses had capes attached to them. And I just thought it was just such a bold moment for her. And she actually looked like a Bond girl.
She did, didn't she?
She did. She really did.
And Jenny Packham even released a range afterwards, didn't she?
That's right.
Inspired, by the...
Yeah, I think you can still purchase, I think you can still purchase the dress now. Obviously, it's slightly different to Kate's, but lots and lots of famous women wore it afterwards. I think Jerry Halliwell wore a similar one. It definitely inspired a lot of other celebrities. And I thought her hair and makeup as well really went with the glamorous tone of the dress. She definitely had some fake eyelashes on. She obviously had her hair up in a really kind of sort of pageant style updo. And I think she had laminated brows. Her makeup was a bit more a bit more defined than normal.
I think this is one of sort of rare moments where Catherine was dressing with fashion in mind.
Yes, I think, yes, absolutely.
It's, and I'm thinking back to that time as well. I think we had just come out of the COVID lockdown era. And she probably thought, you know what, I want to have fun with this, because I think they released those pictures of them inside the limousine just having a laugh, which I thought was just brilliant. Just if you go out with your friends or your partner for the evening and you look glamorous and you want to have that really fun shot.
Absolutely. We'd had so long being indoors that she probably thought, right, wow, I'm going to this amazing premiere. Daniel Craig said, well, don't you look lovely, when he saw her? I'm sure I read that somewhere. Which, she just looks, I remember just being like, this is such a iconic fashion moment for her. I actually think it's up there with her wedding dress, actually.
Wow, you heard it here
how first. I feel about it.
Yeah. I really hope that one day we get an exhibition at Kensington Palace or somewhere just, of her archive.
Yes.
I really want to find out where everything's stored.
I agree.
Yeah.
That would be so interesting. I would love that.
So now moving on to the Gucci mini dress.
Yes.
I feel like we rarely see Catherine in these hemlines now.
Of course.
But she wore it for a visit to the V&A, and it was her first time wearing Gucci. So why did it generate such headlines at the time?
I think Gucci is, we all love Gucci, but Gucci is, I would say, a very trend-led label. So it's a label that they're not necessarily known for their classic pieces. If you wear a Gucci dress, you're going to know it's a Gucci dress. And I feel like that particular dress for me, so obviously, as you say, this is the first time she was wearing Gucci, and I think you could tell straight away, because Gucci isn't necessarily known for their classic pieces. They're very trend-led, they're very bold, they seriously create an impact when you wear them. So when I saw her wearing that, I was like, oh wow, this is again a bit of a fashion moment. Obviously, as we said, the hemline is distinctively shorter than what she would normally wear, and she teamed the look with not stiletto heels but with block shoes. So she'd kind of accessorized it a little bit, and I just thought the actual design of the dress had a kind of mod feel to it. It looked a bit 60s style. I thought it just really suited her. I thought she literally made the look her own. And you can always tell that a dress is pretty iconic when all of the kind of high street bring out similar versions. And there was just a catalogue of dupes, if you like, after that. So she obviously created a bit of a statement with that dress. I think everybody wanted to kind of emulate that look. And I just loved seeing her wear something, that was distinctively fashion.
Yeah, again, when she's leaned into this kind of fashion look, because she's going to the V&A.
Yeah.
She was patron by this point, but it's V&A is known for fashion and art.
That's right. So she's been mindful of the situation, and she thought, right, something a little bit understated just won't do. This has got to be something that kind of respects what the V&A is all about, which is fashion, arts, and I thought she just owned it in that dress. I loved it.
And we love a block heel as well.
We love a block heel.
I mean, nobody wants to be.
She's standing around all day, isn't she? We all know what it's like when you wear a high, when you wear an elevated high heel, your feet hurt and it's painful. Whereas block heels are kind of that bridge between.
Yeah.
She's still boosting yourself up, but it's not as painful.
No, we're not about the 2010s with the stiletto heels anymore. And the
definitely not. No way.
So sequins aren't always easy to pull off.
Nope.
We've spoken about sequins with the gold dress. But Catherine inspired us all in 2022 with her festive party dress, the needle and thread number. And you can actually still buy this, I believe.
Yeah, it's a really big seller for the brand, because anything that Catherine wears, when you can actually buy it off the peg, instantly sells out. It's a surefire given, really. And I think it was really lovely to see her embrace this beautiful brand, because they are known for their kind of distinctively occasion wear pieces, their embroidery, the sequins. You can always tell a needle and thread dress as soon as you see it. So as soon as I saw her wearing it, I was like, oh wow, this is a party dress that we can all actually buy if we wanted to. And I think it was into that she wore it as well.
Yeah, she wore it before her Christmas concert.
That's right.
And I think for a Buckingham Palace reception later down the line.
Yeah.
But it just screams festive, doesn't it?
It's just so festive. You know, it's red, it's got sequins, but it's not one of those dresses that you would instantly think, oh, that's a bit much. It's still elegant. So I feel like even if you're a bit nervous about wearing sequins, that's a great place to start, because although it is covered in sequins and it's shimmery, and when, you know, the light hits it, it looks beautiful, it's still something that everyone can appreciate and like and kind of embrace. So I feel like that kind of dress is something that, you know, and the shape of the dress as well. I think it's of the midi variety. It's obviously has sleeves. It's kind of pulled in at the waist. So it's something that would flatter any woman's figure. And I thought she accessorized it beautifully as well. She had earrings by Soru on. She had a great pair of heels, and her hair obviously was immaculate as possible. And I just think she just looked, it's a true Christmas festive vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, and she knows all eyes are going to be on her, doesn't she? And
Yes.
I think it helps sometimes when she's wearing such a bold outfit that it helps to generate attention onto, you know, causes or events that she really deeply cares about.
Yes. She re-wore it, didn't she, for one of her Christmas posts introducing the festive Christmas Carol concert. So obviously it's an item that she can bring back every year if she wanted to. It's called the Aurora dress, and I know you can still buy it now. So it's definitely one of those dresses that will live on.
Let's get our orders in for Christmas this year.
Absolutely.
Now, your fourth favourite look of all time.
Yep.
The blue lace Elisab number that we first saw at Royal Ascot in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, Catherine since worn it to a Buckingham Palace garden party.
Yep.
Such a feminine look, but so regal at the same time.
Yep.
Do you think this outfit will go down in the history books as one of her most iconic?
Yes, I think that this particular look is the epitome of timeless. You know, the dress itself is in this gorgeous taupe shade, which is so flattering on her skin tone. Again, it's not too bright, it's not too neutral. It's just, it's eye-catching in its own way. I think the lace inserts kind of give it an elevated kind of occasion wear look that is still relatively accessible and not fussy. And I just think, again, she does hats so well, doesn't she? And I think the hat with the corsage underneath on the underside, it just really kind of gave it just a My Fair Lady kind of kick. And I think a lot of people commented it was rather like Eliza Doolittle, obviously Audrey Hepburn's character. And I felt like with her hair up, you know, her beautiful features, the classic way that she looked, it was very Audrey Hepburn.
I feel like she's worn it for occasions where, you know, they're a bit more relaxed. They're either sort of mingling at Royal Ascot or about garden party. And it like kind of was like quite playful, I feel like.
Yes.
Even the way it moved, like, you know, I think there's a picture from the garden party of her and the Duchess of Edinburgh sort of like moving through the crowd. And it's just like, again, as you say, it's not a huge, bold colour. No. But, you know, it's the detail in the dress is enough to make it stand out.
I agree. And I think the skirt is obviously very fluid and it moves really beautifully as she walked. And obviously all of those things come into play when you're selecting an outfit to wear in front of lots of people. You've got to feel comfortable in it. So I feel that's one of those dresses that looks beautiful, but is also really comfortable. And again, with most of her outfits, I feel like she will be wearing them in years to come. You know, you could wear that dress in your 50s or 60s quite easily. So I feel like of those she was a bit younger when she's wearing it, it's the kind of transitional dress that you could wear at any time.
Absolutely. So, and a sort of new designer for her at the time as well. And she's since worn, I think, a different dress, like, you know, the pink sort of shimmery dress for the Jordan Royal wedding since then.
That's right.
But, you know, it's fun, isn't it, when she wears something new? It's
and obviously she has the, you know, access to all these incredible designers. So it's great when she chooses a designer that she's never worn before, because it's obviously something that she's been introduced to. And then, as you say, she'll remember it and then wear it again like she did afterwards. So I feel like that puts it on her radar. And then, of course, elevates the brand anyway, because although these brands are hugely established anyway, having someone like Catherine wear them is always kind of gives it a wider audience, because it's seen all over the world, not just on the catwalk or on, you know, a Hollywood celeb. It's on the most famous royal woman ever. So pretty great for them as well.
Exactly. I always feel like with looks like this as well, like, do you think that sometimes that Catherine is thinking about future generations and thinking maybe one day I can pass this down to Charlotte?
Oh, I mean, she must do, mustn't she? Can you imagine being Princess Charlotte and having, Catherine as your mother and having all of those clothes that, that you could borrow potentially, her handbags, her shoes, the incredible jewelry that's passed down through generations. It must be great to be Princess Charlotte.
I can see it because, the Danish princesses that, they're obviously a little bit older than Charlotte, but they borrow a lot of Queen Mary's.
Why would you not? You would, wouldn't you?
Especially, I'd be so happy if I was the same size as my mum, and she had Chanel two-tone, the classic ballet flats.
You never need to buy anything, would you? You'd just be like, right, I'm going to go straight to my mum's wardrobe.
Going to go raid Mary's wardrobe. And the fifth and final look that you've picked all time is the pink shimmery vampire's wife dress that she wore on her tour of the Caribbean in 2022. So she took some of her classic designer staples on that tour, but she also added a few It Girl brands to her wardrobe. So tell us more about this look and why you love it.
So the Vampire's Wife, unfortunately, is no longer in existence. It went into administration, I believe it was last year or the year before, which is a great shame for the fashion industry because it was such a pioneering label. And I feel like their falconetti dress, you would recognise it, is, if you didn't know, obviously it's in the shimmering lame fabric with the kind of fluted sleeves. And Princess Beatrice actually wore it first to the wedding of Ellie Goulding. And not long after that, the Princess of Wales wore it when she went on the Royal Tour of Ireland because it was like a green number. So she's obviously been introduced to this label and remembered it. And then when she went on that particular tour, she wore the same style, but in a kind of maxi number. And it's bright pink, it's shimmering, it's like a beautiful fuchsia tone. And I think when the light hit it, it just looked very mermaid-esque. And I just thought it was such a showstopper, like a quiet showstopper. And I feel like it was great to see her wearing, again, a really on-trend and exclusive brand at the time. Obviously it was that particular brand was really embraced by the A-list at the time. So it almost felt like she did her own kind of take on this A-list look. And she totally nailed it, I thought. Because I remember she had her hair slicked back and she had the statement earrings and she looked really relaxed in that dress. And she kind of, created her own impact with it, which I loved.
And it was, I know a lot of the time she goes on tour and she might wear a local designer or a nod to the flag. I mean, at this point, that didn't incorporate any of it, but it was like, it was a fun, playful look. It was, sometimes you need the moments like that.
Absolutely.
But it's also flying the flag for British fashion, isn't it? Yes. Which she often does.
She's really good with that. She does often, invest in pieces from UK-based brands. And I think, again, the brand didn't need elevating, but I feel like it did give it a wider audience by her wearing it, which is obviously really lovely for the fashion houses themselves. But I just thought this look was, again, something that if you've got some kind of black tie event to go to, or if you've got, something that you want to dress up for, this is a great kind of inspiration for that. And I think that kind of fuchsia tone, again, really worked with her complexion and gave her a really kind of glistening lift.
And do you know what? I also would like to think that, Princess Beatrice was like, introduced her to the brand. Yeah. Because we know, I think before the Duchess of Edinburgh introduced her to a certain jean brand.
That's right.
Yeah.
Donna Ida.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that it would be fun to think, oh, they've got a WhatsApp group. Yeah. And they sit there and they're like, do you know what you should wear for this event? You should wear.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they are a family. And, whenever I'm with, my, with my friends or, or with certain members of our family, we all just want to talk about what we've bought. And, they're just like us in that way, and I imagine that, as you say, they might have sat there and thought, right, okay, I found this amazing brand, you should check them out. So it's really nice to hear that, to assume, that they might, kind of swap tips in that way.
Well, they all have their favourites, don't they? There's a lot of Me and Em.
Yeah.
And even Catherine's mother, Carol Middleton.
She loves Me and Em, doesn't she?
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's a great way to kind of share that knowledge, not gatekeep it, give it to each other.
Never gatekeep.
No, we don't gatekeep. Definitely not.
This has been so much fun.
I've loved it. I could do this all day.
Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you.
Let us know if you agree in the comments. Did we include your favourite look? Did we miss anything out? Just let us know. Thank you for joining us.